People over 60 don't talk about marriage the way younger people do. They don't argue about roles. They don't debate who was right or wrong. They don't speak in slogans or theories. They speak in memories. When people over 60 talk about marriage, their words are quieter, slower, heavier. Not because they're bitter, but because they've seen what lasts and what doesn't. They've watched love grow, fade, change shape, harden, soften, break, and sometimes survive in ways they never expected. And if you listen closely, you'll hear something surprising. Most of them don't regret marrying. They regret what they didn't understand when they did. What people over 60 wish they knew about marriage isn't glamorous. It doesn't fit into Instagram quotes or wedding speeches. It doesn't sell romance, but it tells the truth. They wish they knew that love isn't what carries a marriage character does. Most people entered marriage believing love would do the heavy lifting. They thought love would fix communication. Love would overcome differences. Love would soften resentment. Love would make effort feel effortless. And for a while, it does. Love carries the beginning. But eventually, love hands the weight to something else. Patience, discipline, humility, forgiveness, and emotional maturity. People over 60 will tell you that love comes and goes. Some days it's strong. Some days it's quiet. Some days it feels distant. But what keeps a marriage standing is not the feeling of love, it's the choice to behave with respect, even when love feels thin. Many wish they had known that earlier, before expecting feelings to solve problems that required effort. They wish they knew that marriage doesn't reveal who you married, it reveals who you are. In the early years, it's easy to believe the tension comes from the other person, their flaws, their habits, their personality. But over time, something humbling happens. Marriage becomes a mirror. It exposes impatience you didn't know you had, control you didn't admit to, avoidance you justified, emotional wounds you carried quietly. People over 60 often say the hardest part of marriage wasn't their partner, it was facing themselves without excuses. Many wish they had learned earlier that marriage doesn't fix you, it amplifies you. Whatever you avoid emotionally will surface. Whatever you suppress will leak. Whatever you refuse to heal will repeat. Marriage doesn't create problems, it reveals them. They wish they knew that staying silent doesn't keep the peace, it delays the explosion. A common regret among older couples is not what they argued about, but what they never talked about. Unspoken resentment, unexpressed needs, quiet disappointments. Many believed that avoiding conflict was maturity. They thought silence meant strength. But decades later, they realized that silence slowly erodes intimacy. What isn't said doesn't disappear, it settles. People over 60 often say, "We didn't fight much, we just drifted." And drift is harder to repair than conflict. They wish they knew that being right is far less important than being kind. In hindsight, many older people realize how many battles they won and how much closeness they lost in the process. They remember insisting on being understood instead of understanding, correcting instead of listening, defending instead of softening. They wish they had known that marriage isn't a courtroom, it's a shared life. And winning an argument often costs more than losing it. Marriage survives not on who's right, but on who's willing to protect the relationship when emotions are high. They wish they knew that attraction changes, but companionship deepens. Over time, bodies age. Energy changes. Desire shifts. People over 60 will tell you that if your marriage is built only on attraction, it will feel fragile. But if it's built on companionship, shared history, mutual respect, inside jokes, loyalty, it gains a depth that attraction alone never reaches. Many wish they had worried less about staying exciting and focused more on staying connected. Attraction fades and returns in cycles. Companionship grows quietly and becomes priceless later. They wish they knew that marriage doesn't need constant happiness. It needs stability. One of the biggest myths people over 60 recognize is the idea that marriage should make you happy all the time. That expectation creates disappointment, pressure, comparison. They wish they knew earlier that happiness comes and goes, but stability, trust, and emotional safety create a life where happiness has space to return. Marriage isn't meant to be exciting every day. It's meant to be reliable. They wish they knew that small neglect matters more than big mistakes. People often fear affairs, betrayals, or dramatic endings. But older couples will tell you that most marriages don't break. Suddenly they erode quietly. Lack of appreciation. No longer asking questions. No longer noticing effort. No longer touching. No longer saying thank you. Small neglect accumulates until the relationship feels hollow. Many over 60 wish they had taken better care of the small things because those are what sustain intimacy over decades. They wish they knew that respect matters more than romance. Romance brings people together. Respect keeps them together. When respect fades through criticism, contempt, belittling, or emotional dismissal, love struggles to breathe. People over 60 often say that the moment respect left the marriage, everything else became harder. Respect isn't grand gestures, it's tone, listening, assuming good intent, protecting dignity during conflict. Many wish they had guarded respect more fiercely. They wish they knew that marriage requires learning how to fight, not avoiding it. Older couples often say their marriage improved once they learned how to disagree without attacking. Early fights were loud or silent. Later fights became clearer, calmer, and shorter. They wish they had learned sooner that conflict isn't the enemy, disrespect is. Healthy conflict clarifies. Unhealthy conflict scars. They wish they knew that independence and togetherness must coexist. Many marriages struggle because one person feels swallowed while the other feels abandoned. People over 60 often say they wish they had protected individual identity while building shared life. Marriage isn't about losing yourself, it's about bringing your whole self into partnership. Too much fusion creates resentment. Too much distance creates disconnection. Balance is learned, not assumed. They wish they knew that gratitude changes everything. Perhaps the most common reflection from people over 60 is how powerful appreciation really is. Feeling seen, valued, acknowledged. They say many arguments could have been softened if gratitude had been expressed more often. Many wish they had said thank you, more not just for big sacrifices but for daily effort. Gratitude doesn't fix everything, but without it, nothing lasts. They wish they knew that marriage is shaped by seasons, not moments. Early marriage, parenting years, career pressure, empty nest, aging bodies, health challenges, loss. People over 60 understand that marriage isn't one relationship, it's many, evolving over time. What works in one season may fail in another. Flexibility matters more than consistency. Many wish they had adapted faster instead of clinging to how things used to be. They wish they knew that asking for help is not failure. Older generations often avoided therapy, counseling, or guidance. Many now admit they waited too long. They thought asking for help meant weakness. Now they see it as wisdom. They wish they had sought support earlier, before resentment hardened. Marriage doesn't require suffering in silence. They wish they knew that staying is a choice, but so is leaving. Some over 60 stayed too long in unhealthy marriages out of fear, duty, or obligation. Others left too quickly without trying to repair. With hindsight, they see that both staying and leaving require courage and discernment. Marriage isn't about endurance at all costs. It's about mutual willingness to grow. They wish they knew that time is the real currency. More than money. More than success. Time. People over 60 understand that years pass quickly. Moments missed don't return. They regret time spent fighting trivial battles, holding grudges, or emotionally withdrawing. They wish they had chosen connection more often. Time reveals what truly mattered. They wish they knew that marriage isn't about being completed, it's about being accompanied. No partner can fulfill every need. No marriage erases loneliness entirely. Older people often say they entered marriage expecting too much, expecting rescue, expecting fulfillment. Later they realized marriage works best when two whole people walk alongside each other, not when one expects the other to carry their emptiness. Marriage is not completion, it's companionship. They wish they knew that love is quieter than they imagined, not dramatic, not constant, but steady, patient, familiar. People over 60 say the deepest love didn't shout, it showed up. in hospital rooms, in hard conversations, in forgiveness, in staying when leaving would have been easier. The love that lasts is rarely loud. So what do people over 60 wish they knew about marriage? That it's harder and more meaningful than they were told. That it doesn't reward ego, it humbles it. That it doesn't promise happiness, it offers growth. That it doesn't stay young, but it can grow deep. And perhaps most importantly, they wish they knew this. Marriage doesn't need perfection. It needs presence. This is Mendecoded, where we don't romanticize the past, don't shame the present, and don't avoid the truth. We decode it.